lot riding on this report. You have a new note out. Let's just start with this. I'm just looking at the estimates. These are the estimates. Revenue growth of 112%, EPS growth of 125%. Just astronomical. It's like you're shaking your head, and you're one of the biggest fans of this company. Can this company meet these expectations? Can it even exceed them? Is just meeting them good enough for investors?
Well, medium is not good enough, but I believe this is going to be a drop the mic moment for the godfather of AI, Jensen NVIDIA, because all of our checks are showing this is accelerating. And I think the street, like you said, every quarter, prove it. This revolution is just starting, but it all starts with NVIDIA. In my opinion, it is the most important earnings, not just of the year, potentially in many years, because of what this represents in terms of tech.
So I've been asking a lot of people this. Is it the earnings that matter or the guidance? Because the expectations are lofty. Let's say they meet or beat when it comes to revenue and EPS, but the guidance isn't what people are expecting. What does that do to the stock? What do you think it does to the market?
It's all about the guidance. But we just got back from Asia. All of our checks are showing Street is still underestimating this acceleration. Because right now, the only game in town is Jensen. And really, if you look what NVIDIA is doing, especially from chips coming forward, this enterprise demand is just starting. And in my opinion, of course, Powell, Jackson Hole is so important.
Huge, obviously.
But the market, what it's going to do for the rest of the year, and I could argue even in 2025, it starts with this NVIDIA earnings. And I expect, get the popcorn ready. It's going to be a
You say this every quarter, Dan.
No, but this is going to be a showstopper showing where the revolution's going.
Okay.
And I think the skeptics continue to get proven wrong.
Here we have the 4-hour price chart for NVIDIA Corporation, stock ticker NVDA. So clearly the major event risk for NVIDIA stock coming up next week will be the earnings release that is posted on Wednesday. Currently, the expectations for NVIDIA are extremely high. We're looking at potential EPS growth, earnings per share growth coming in at 112%, exceeded a bit by the expectation in revenue growth. We're currently looking at estimates calling for 125% growth in that metric. So as things currently stand, these are extremely lofty expectations, and the real question will be whether or not the company is able to beat those expectations. For the most part, we are starting to top out here a bit in the price chart. So as we can see here, near-term highs come in at roughly 130.75. This would be the price high posted on August 22nd. So as things currently stand, we're starting to top out a bit in anticipation of these prior resistance levels, which came in at 136.15. This would be the July 11 price high. So as things currently stand, we're sort of topping out a bit here, and a lot is riding on the guidance figures for this next earnings release. We're really going to need to see a very impressive beat in order for NVIDIA to continue posting higher numbers. If we look at the rest of the Mag 7 community, that grouping of stocks, there were several impressive earnings performances that were posted by these companies. However, in many cases, those stocks dropped lower. On average, the Mag 7 group dropped by 4% on average. After the most recent earnings release, even with these companies surpassing earnings, there was still risk here to the downside. So as we're currently positioning for this stock, this is the type of event that we need to prepare for. It's really going to take a major beat for this company in order for the stock to be able to continue moving higher. And what this really means is for the guidance figures to beat expectations and surpass those expectations.
What about the questions, the air pocket between different iterations of their chips, some of their customers making their own chips, and the fact that the AI enthusiasm seems to be dying down? You're not concerned about any of that?
Yeah, so it's hit on them. For a delayed 2 to 3 months, I view that as sort of an asterisk. In other words, this is not moving the needle in terms of from a demand perspective. When you talk about AI in terms of some of the hype, look what we saw from the hyperscalers. Amazon, Google, Microsoft, what Nadella talked about, what Lisa Su and AMD, the Messi of AI, Palantir in terms of the use cases. It's showing that now the second, third, fourth derivatives are just starting to play out. So when I look at what the godfather of AI, Jensen and NVIDIA are doing, we're talking about transformation. I believe a year from now, this is a $4 trillion market cap along with Apple and Microsoft.
By the way, you changing his last name. It's Jensen NVIDIA. It's not Jensen Huang anymore? You just decided?
Look,
You're making decisions.
So if we move into the indicator readings themselves, we can also see some additional evidence from a technical perspective, which suggests that NVIDIA might be on the brink of rolling over from current levels. If we look at the most recent activity in the oscillator readings, we can see that we're on the verge of a ribbon twist here, which would suggest that share prices are reaching a bit of a topping point at current levels. So in other words, if we do see NVIDIA even just meet expectations rather than fully surpass expectations, we could see a bit of disappointment in the market, which does result in a bit of a buy the rumor, sell the news type of event that could send share prices for NVDA lower from here. Essentially, what this indicator reading tells us is that the share price might become overextended near current levels. And this does make sense given the fact that we are now trading into not only an important event risk, but also into a very important historical resistance zone stemming from the July 11th trading session.
According to your research, for every dollar spent on NVIDIA chips, it kind of flows through to the rest of the tech sector to $8 to $10. What does that mean for some of these other stocks?
That's the most important thing. Because remember, it's not just about NVIDIA. It's about the multiplier. It's about the revolution, the $1 trillion of CapEx. For every dollar spent on an NVIDIA chip, there's an 8 to 10 multiplier across the rest of tech. That's why it's so important in terms of what NVIDIA says for this bull market to continue.
So you're saying it's a broad tailwind. It's not just it's a rising tide that's going to lift all boats.
Because it's not just
even in software, because software seems to be under pressure, or at least it was when it comes to this AI craze, and it seems like a lot of the money that was going to software has gone to chips.
But even next week, you'll hear from Benioff and Salesforce. What are they focused on? AI. Look at McDermott and ServiceNow. In other words, it's just starting now. The software wave is a second, third derivative. That's why I think we're seeing here a year from now, NASDAQ 20,000, and it continues because now the rest of this party, it is only 9 p.m. in the AI party
that goes to
that
when?
we believe it goes to 4 a.m.
To 4? Not to sunrise, but it stops at
4 a.m. And look, will there be times music stops and there's glass in the floor? Yeah. But right now, what we hear next week, it shows this party, the music continues to play on.
All right, I know tech is really your wheelhouse, but you look at the broader market as well. We're going to show a chart. This is the Mag 7 and the S&P equal weight since the start of this quarter. The equal weight outperforming the Mag 7. When it comes to that Mag 7 trade, how important are these earnings? We had our data team run the numbers. Implied volatility post earnings, 10% up or down. What do you think this report does to that mega cap tech trade, that AI trade, et cetera?
They're the torchbearers of this rally that continues. And I think it's just the start. Look what's happened with Apple in terms of the new iPhone launch. The AI story will be led.
So
by
NVIDIA stops the broadening? Because that's what we're seeing right now with equal weight. It's the broadening of the market. People are putting their money in other places, especially cyclicals, ahead of a cut. So you're saying that this report could actually change some of those flows?
Oh, I think it does. And I think ultimately tech will lead the market higher from a large cap perspective. We look into year end, and I think Mag 7 actually outperforms. But look, but again, many have been skeptical. The bears in hibernation mode, they've been negative on big tech for the last few years. But when it comes down to numbers, and it comes down to this revolution, this is the 1995, almost 1996 moment, but not a 1999 bubble moment.
Our High Value Trading Strategies membership is currently available for a limited time for only $9.99 per month. These high conviction investment strategies are characterized by superior risk to reward metrics that target massive market beating returns over time. Join now to outperform the market. Lock in this special introductory rate of just $9.99 per month for the entire lifetime of your membership and start trading stocks with the pros.